Hey, Rugby Hub viewers, and welcome back for another episode where we are chatting about the review of the past Rugby Championship game. Actually, a lot of excitement. What did you think about
Yeah,
the
Goody.
fifth round of the Rugby Championship?
That that first game was obviously on Thursday, with the All Blacks, yeah, stealing a late win from the Aussies. I think a lot of people was not so happy about what happened there, but we'll talk about it in a
Mm,
second. And then, yeah, obviously super happy for the Bokke, winning with a bonus point in Argentina, putting us right back
mm.
on track. So yeah, I mean it's all to play for in the last weekend. But yeah, Goody, how are you? How was your weekend? You also played some rugby yourself
I played some rugby today, Gabs. Yeah. Definitely
today.
feel some pain on places that
Okay.
I haven't felt before, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah, Gabs, getting
Nice.
back to the Rugby Championship, as you mentioned, a little bit of a controversial sort of decision towards the end of the All Blacks Australia game, the Bledisloe one,
Yeah.
which we will get into a bit afterwards, and then obviously the Springbok game as well. And it wasn't that easy for them. I think there was some sort of allegations thrown at the Springboks before the start of
Literally
that
4 hours
game,
before
which
the kickoff. Yeah.
yeah, which brings a bit of speculation towards if it is in fact well real or not, or what sort of
Yeah.
merit does those allegations have. But yeah, what actually happened there? I think we can do a separate video on some of those allegations. But besides the Yankees sort of saga, which we will also have to make a
I think we
separate
should
video
just
on.
do like a drama episode where we just talk about the allegations in
Exactly.
the Yankees situation. At
Yeah.
least for the time being. But let's really talk a
Mm.
bit about the All Blacks game, as that was the first game that happened on Thursday. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you want to get into it with a few stats for us, and maybe
Sure,
share.
Gabsy.
Yeah.
Look, as we mentioned, close game. It went straight to the wire. We in our preview we mentioned the sort of the selections of both teams and the sort of difference in those selections and how that would have sort of affected the game. Um, the
Yeah.
All Blacks went with a sort of a more free flowing sort of bench to sort of support a more running style that they like to play with. And then the Australians with a more size up front, sort of bulky bench. And it seemed towards that second half that bulk beat the flash. So unfortunately, Australia couldn't get it done towards the end. The score was 39-37. So just it tells you a little bit about the closeness of that game. Some interesting stats, though, however. I mean, the possession was quite 50-50, and the territory 52 for the All Blacks and 48. So it was quite an equal game in both halves.
Yeah.
But some of the things that was a bit concerning, I would say, for the All Blacks was their scrum, which we thought would have had they would have had the upper hand over Australia, but they only won 2 out of their 5 scrums.
Yeah.
But their lineouts was very, very, very good, and that's where their man of the match performer in Samisoni Tokiao came in. He had an exceptional game, scored a few tries. He was super physical as usual, and he just continues to perform. So it's going to be
Yeah,
very
he's
difficult to
definitely
snatch that.
retaining his spot in that team of the tournament so
Yeah,
far. I mean, however, Mark's also put in a man of the match performance, so I'm
that's
not
true.
throwing Marks away yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, Gweri, like you said, also yeah, the All Blacks really they were super good in the lineouts, phenomenal. I think they did
Mm,
literally 13 out of 13, which is really impressive.
mm,
Comparing
yeah.
that with the 12 out of 14 from the Wallabies. But yeah,
Yeah.
also let's give the Wallabies credit. They really played a super good game. They, I mean, till the last minute, thought they're going to win the game. Nick White
Yeah.
smashed a 50-meter kick from halfway, and we thought it was
So
over.
true.
And
Crazy.
then the ref decided, no, that's time wasting. So for those of you who still think that the Wallabies should have won that game, actually there's some explicit footage that came out, and you can actually hear the ref
Explicit.
say explicit. So you can hear the ref say to Bernard Foley very loud and clear, "Time on, kick the ball 10, kick the ball 10." Um, Sorry, my French accent's not so good.
That was great.
Anyways, but yeah, then he basically took his time. You can also see his center screaming at him, kick it, kick it. So, I mean, at
Mm,
the end of the day, I think it was the right call. Sadly for Australia, that cost them possibly the championship. And
mm.
yeah, that's rugby.
Look, Gabsy, the thing is, I agree. Maybe it was the right call, but it's one of those calls. You can compare it with throwing the ball in straight into the scrum. I mean, you don't really see that the ball is being thrown in straight into the scrum, and they don't blow for it as well.
Yeah.
So having the thing is, if it was the right call or not, the thing is, if the ref has such a big impact on who's going to win the game instead of the players, right? Australia did everything in their power to win that game, but in the end, the referee actually decided the outcome of the game. And I think as a spectator, that's not what you want to see.
No,
So, I
of
mean, it
course.
could have
I
been
mean,
the right call, but I think it was an unnecessary call. Let's put
I
it that way.
completely get your view on that. And also, it literally was about 1 or 2 seconds that at the end of the day, determined the result of a rugby game, which is not how it should be. But
Yeah.
then again, like listening to that footage, it was the right call.
Mm,
How he said it,
yeah.
and you can clearly see it. And I just think it's a very
Mm,
harsh way to lose a game, of course. But yeah,
mm.
that's it. Obviously, that leaves New Zealand at the top of the log. So they
They
and the
didn't
Bokke
secure a
both.
bonus point, however, 5 tries versus 4, couldn't get the
Yeah,
bonus point.
but
South Africa did manage to get that bonus point, Gadget, so they're creeping
the,
up closer. They've got the same.
it's fourteen
Um,
40 now for yeah. So it's 14 points for New
yeah.
Zealand, 14 points for South Africa. However, obviously
Mm.
after that thumping victory over the Argentinians, they have a little bit of a bigger point difference. So all to
Mm.
play for. Really exciting time. I'm
Yeah.
super excited for a preview later this week. I mean, I want to switch over to the Bokke game on that note.
Yeah.
Obviously, Damian Willemse going off early in the second half with a concussion. More concern for
Yeah.
the Boks, as if we don't have enough drama already. I mean, there's so much going on right now. If the Bokke
Yeah.
somehow pulls it off and wins the championship this year, man,
Mm.
I will have so much respect for them.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's all to play for. It really depends on what happens between New Zealand and Argentina. And then obviously we can
Mm.
see what do we need to do. How many points do we need to win
You
with?
mean New Zealand versus Australia, you mean? Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all depending on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Look, to
So,
get onto the
yeah,
Damien Willems sort of concussion, when he went off, there was a total change in the game. South Africa the Springboks couldn't get the upper hand anymore. They struggled with the flow of their game. Frans Malherbe didn't necessarily do that good of a job to sort of
you're talking about
how do I
France
say,
Steyn.
negate. Yeah, Frans Steyn. Sorry, what did I
Yes,
say?
France Malherbe. I was like, why is
Same
he?
thing, man.
Yeah,
They look the same.
no, I'm
But
joking,
anyways,
but
no,
yeah.
he's struggled to kind of take charge of that game, right? So it is a concern that we lost Damien Willems. I thought he had a hell of a game up until that point. There
Yeah.
were concerns about his goal kicking, but I thought he did relatively okay over there.
Yeah, I mean that
And
it is an ongoing topic though. It needs to
yeah.
improve. Like if you want to be the 10, obviously that needs to improve.
Of
But
course, Gabsy, but I
yeah,
mean that's not the style of player that he is. The style of player that he is he can get tries out of the Springboks, and that's
yeah,
what we did. I mean, the Springboks won 36-20. I thought they could have put it in the Argentinas away by more. They started off extremely strong in that first half. They had 60% possession, and I think in total 58% territory. So they were completely dominant in that
yeah,
sort of in that first half, and then just kind of fell off in the second half, which remains to be a little bit of a theme in the Springboks sort of gameplay, if you want to put it that way, is the fact that we struggle to put teams away with more, let's say, than 16 to 20 points deficit, right?
yeah,
And like you said, with the standings, the Rugby Championship standings being so close, those bonus points are very, very handy. So it's very good to see that the Springboks got their bonus points with 5 tries versus 2. Malcolm Mark scoring there towards the end. But at the end of the day, the discipline didn't give sort of Argentina any chance to win. So
yeah,
they did well to fight back. I think let's quickly talk about our big expectations players that we mentioned in our preview. You said
yes,
that Damien Willems was going to make a big impact. Maybe we can quickly check some
yeah.
of his.
I mean, so obviously Damon Willems went off early in the second half, like we've mentioned before, but nevertheless,
Up until
he,
then, I thought he
yeah,
was very good.
yeah, he was up until that stage. He had 25 running meters, 5 runs, pretty influential. He had a
Yeah.
couple of tackles, I think 2 or 3 tackle assists and another 3 tackles he made. So it's good stats for a fly off. Obviously, you know, considering he only played a couple of minutes in the second half. So yeah, I think like you said it earlier already. I can't much talk much on that because you already said, you know, when he went off the field, you could see that there was a change. So he definitely is doing what we are looking to do, and that's to score tries. He's bringing this hype and energy to the team, and it's amazing. But obviously, like I also mentioned, you know, it would be nice to see him slot these kicks comfortably. I mean, he kicked amazing against Wales, and I know he can kick really well. Maybe he's just having a little bit of a mental battle at the moment with kicking, but yeah, I mean,
but the Springbok team is expecting a lot from him, right? He plays 15, then he goes to 12, then he goes to 10. And each of those positions require a really, really sort of a focal points on specific areas of the game. And when he slots into 10, like you mentioned, kicking to post is one of those focal points. So I still think he's doing a phenomenal job there for the Springboks.
No, of course.
He always puts out a great
I
performance.
don't want to take anything away from him. I think, you know, he's an amazing player. But of course, you know, as a rugby pundit, you have to be hard on the guys, you know. So he is the probably one of the best players in the world. And I think if he can get his goal kicking sorted out, you know, I won't be surprised to see him go to Montpellier or Racing for something like 1.5 million euros.
I would love him to stay at the Stormers for now.
Yeah.
But Gabsy, let's go to the other big expectation player. I chose Buffelli. Not purely because of his goal kicking, but I think predominantly it came kind of down to that. He did miss one kick, however.
That's very strange for him, very unlike him. Normally he doesn't miss anything.
It was a long ranger. He's got a mammoth of a boot. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be for Argentina and for Buffelli. I did think he had a good game. However, they just struggled to get on the front foot, the Argentinians, especially in that first half. In the second half, they really came back well to get to 20 points up until 2 points. They were that close to the Springboks, and then I think the Springboks just got a wake-up call and then put them to the sword. Again, the last talking point I do want to mention, Gabsy, is the Pumas lineout, who's been the lineout has been the best, I think, out of all the teams in the Rugby Championship, which usually that goes to the Springboks. But the Pumas have been very good at lineouts. They pinched a few from the Springboks as well. And it's becoming a very big part of their game and a very good part of their game. So set piece and good defense, that's what wins championship. So they'll definitely be in good contention for the World Cup next year.
They are getting more and more consistent with their set pieces, that's for sure. I actually think that we took 2 of their lineouts and they took 2 of ours. So this particular game, it was pretty tight, but they're definitely getting much better. I mean, their scrums was also really good. So Argentina was just not good enough. I think the Boca was also not necessarily amazing. We just won the game comfortably, but the Argentinians did not show up. And I think maybe all the off the field scandals and whatever that was happening was maybe making the Boca even more angry and more psyched up. So they really went out.
Made it personal.
They made it personal, but we will touch on that in our drama episode. I think for
lastly,
now,
Gabsy,
the Butterfingers.
Who got the Butterfingers last? Who got the Butterfingers
Jesse
last?
Creel. I think he's going to retain his Butterfingers. I think he's going to retain the jersey.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. Jesse Creel maintains Butterfingers. It's going to take a very shit performance from someone else to take that away from him.
I think
the thing is,
once again,
he's always
he's
been a
not doing
big part.
Special, but he doesn't do anything special.
Not really, no. So look, he in his heyday, I think in the Rugby World Cup, that was kind of his peak. I think he's a good team player, but we have such good depth in South Africa. I think it's time to give someone else maybe a chance. Nevertheless, Gabsy, we're kind of out of time.
We can get somebody else to carry the tackle bags and give high fives. I'm sure there's enough options.
But he is so good at it.
No, I mean,
Nevertheless, Gabsy, all to play for this coming weekend. This is excitement at its best. Usually one team kind of runs away with the Rugby Championship. This time it comes down. I think anyone can win it. It feels a bit like the Six Nations, where sometimes when the Six Nations is tied, it's just absolutely great to watch up until the last game. And we have a similar situation now with the Rugby Championship. So
exactly.
New Zealand versus Australia.
New
Zealand versus Australia in New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. And then South Africa versus Argentina in South Africa. And that then will be the conclusion of the Rugby Championship. And we're going to see who lifts the trophy for the Rugby Championship 22. Gabsy, it's so great to see you.
Thank you so much for that summary, Gwynny. Yeah. Thank you for your time, like always. Super excited for the preview this week. And I think there's a lot to talk about still. But I think our time is up. Have a good night. Thank you, guys.